it is awesome for you to join today. I'm so excited, Sonya. And we're starting out with just a general question of how did PSYCH-K find you? What happened that brought it to you?
I was very lucky because a friend of mine had taken a PSYCH-K basic and intermediary class, and we were discussing an issue I was having at the time, which was being surrounded by people that weren't very nice to me or were taking advantage of me. And she says, well, I think that PSYCH-K could help with that. If you'd like, we can work together on that. And I said, sure, because at this point, I'm at a loss as to what I'm supposed to do to change this. Because on the basis, I'm a good person. So I couldn't understand why I couldn't be surrounded by nice people. And through PSYCH-K, I had this extraordinary experience to realize that subconsciously, I still had a belief inside of me that I was not lovable. And that came as a shock to me, because consciously I'm very aware that I'm lovable. I'm honest, I'm decent, I'm a good natured person, but on a subconscious level, I was not lovable because of experience I had in my childhood. And through PSYCH-K, I was able to we worked together and transform this belief that I am good enough and I am lovable. And the experience was earth-shattering for me, because all these people that didn't really want what's best for my highest good simply stopped calling, stopped coming. And so I didn't have to push them away. I didn't have, it was a smooth transition to now meeting new people who appreciate me, who love me, and who wanted the best for me and are there for me when I need them and are encouraging when I'm taking new endeavors. So it's completely changed my life.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. I love the word smooth transition, and that's what's beautiful about the work that we do with PSYCH-K is we think the change has to be hard and difficult. And yet once we shift that subconscious belief, then we don't have that resistance pushing against us, and we don't have to push against it. We just flow. Life can flow.
Exactly. And there was no resistance. There was no drama. And it was just life transforming, absolutely life transforming.
Awesome. Awesome. So now that you're enjoying being a PSYCH-K facilitator, if someone asks you, what is PSYCH-K, how would you answer that?
I will explain to people that it's about transformation of the subconscious belief, but there's a spiritual component to this transformation as well. So it affects not just a physical body, but it also affects the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual aspects of our lives. So it affects us in all different directions in 360 degrees. The process is simple, easy to understand, and it doesn't require someone to have a degree or great knowledge, because it can easily be explained. So it's easy for anybody, any age, to access. And then depending on what the issues are for certain people, I tell them, we can work with businesses, we can work with relationship, we can work with the person itself. So it covers any aspect to which a person has a belief that needs to be transformed. And so that's how I usually would define it.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Thank you. It, what I love that you shared is that it's accessible to anyone. So, I've taught for 20 plus years, and I've had an 8-year-old in the class, and I've had an 88-year-old in the class, and all kinds of people from different, industries or different businesses, you name it, they've been in the class, from neuroscientists to truck driver to whatever. And it's beautiful because every one of them learns at the same pace, at the same way. And they learn, it is simple. What I want to couch that with, because I use that concept of simple, and then people come in and they think, well, I'm just going to snap my fingers and things will be done. Well, there is a protocol that you learn, and sometimes it's like learning a new language. So, you have to get used to the language and the process. But once you learn the steps, it is simple. It is absolutely simple.
And the process with PSYCH-K is very well explained. There's great supportive documentation to help someone facilitate a session. So it's not something that, oh, I forgot this, or I'm not sure about that. The steps are clearly laid out, so it's easy to follow for a beginner. it doesn't matter which background you're from, even in a spiritual way or a financial way, or if you're more scientific can explain what Psyche does. So it reaches, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much everyone. I've not seen someone walk away going, no, this can't be done, or this doesn't work.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Yeah. And I've taught with in a variety of places with different religions, all the way from Kuwait to a Catholic monastery. I mean, you know, everywhere in between. So it's accessible to everything. I think the key for accessibility is being open and curious about, is it possible? Let me step into the possibility, you know? And so we often speak about in the workshops about being open and curious. And I think that's the key for accessibility also.
And the process allows for curiosity and allows for exploration. So it's not, you're not stuck in a box. So right. I like the idea that if you're curious about something and if you want to try something, it opens the doors for you. I think that's one of the, from my experiences, it's opening people's mind to the possibilities of what is possible instead of restrictions. It's magnificent to see people going, oh, so, and having this aha moment of going, oh, so I don't have to limit myself. Like I had a session with someone recently. She's a university student and she's like, well, I'd like to have good grades. And I said, well, why just good? Why not great? And right in that moment, the subconscious got released, and she had an emotional release right in that moment going, and she cried. She's like, why am I crying? And we were able to explain why. Well, because, you know, now we've tapped into this belief that you don't think you can be great, but you can. We just need to transform that for you. And we went through that. And she's now looking at her new semester in a completely different way.
That's awesome. So, that's awesome. Yeah. It's like you tapped into the essence of what was in there, the divinity, the divine spirit that knew, please get the filter off. I want to come out. I want to show you what's possible. So that's beautiful. Thank you. So another thing that a lot of people ask us moving into workshops, as well as probably facilitation, is, did you have any doubts or any questions moving into the workshop? I mean, you had a phenomenal experience in a private session ahead of time, but you know, what would you, if somebody's unsure, what would you advise them?
Well, a lot of people are like, well, can I do this? Mm-hmm. Can I be after, just because the basic class is 3 days, after 3 days, can I really do this? And the answer is yes. Yeah. There's the instruction is phenomenal. The supporting documents is there to help you out. We get lots of practice time during a workshop. Mm-hmm. By the time you leave, you're comfortable using what you've learned during that workshop. Right. But I think that's the biggest doubt, because people always think, oh, well, don't I have to have a higher education, or don't I have to be a therapist to be able to do this? And I was like, no, you just need to be a simple, basic human being with compassion and do this from the heart, and then you can do this.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. It, you know, and it's funny because that is, I agree with you. That is, can I do this? And the idea is you come into the workshop, and that night, like 2 or 3 days later, you can go work with your friends, your family. You can, if you have a business practice of some kind, you can fit it into that and charge money. We don't have a certification for facilitators, which are the people that do one-on-one sessions. We trust that you come in, it's a guide, you know, you're guided to be there. We don't do hardcore marketing, because this isn't just check off the list. You've got to embody this. And that's where you brought up about spirituality. There really is a spiritual side to this. And so, yeah, there's a video I have on my YouTube channel of a woman that came to the workshop. In the second night of the workshop, she went back to her Airbnb, and the owner was grieving about something, and she facilitated the second night of the 3-day workshop. She didn't even finish the workshop, and she facilitated an amazing transformation. So yeah, it is beautifully accessible in lots of ways.
And I think also the other thing about PSYCH-K is that we can transform situation, not just you know, like I've had some I work with a lot of people who suffer from PTSD,
Mhm.
high anxiety. And so it's not just a one thing, it's like a series of incidents. And even in that, there's a form of a way of proceeding with PSYCH-K that allows that to be worked on and transformed as well.
Mhm.
So I find it's very magnificent because it's wide in its application.
Exactly. What a lot of people talk about is, well, if you want X, just change your beliefs, but they don't give you the how to do that in a simple, lasting way. And that's really where PSYCH-K just hands it to you on a silver platter. Here, have it for anything that you want to shift in your life. Yeah.
I guess about doubts, that's where other people might have doubts. It's like, how can it be so easy?
Right.
How can it be so simple? And when that happens, if someone has those kind of issues, I said, well, I have a session with me then, and see how we can transform things for you and see how it is simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be able to see, do I want to have this knowledge for myself to share with my family and my friends? And a lot of people don't necessarily begin taking the workshops to become facilitators or do this professionally. They do this because, like me, they have a humongous transformation in their personal life, and they want to share this with their entourage and be able to make everybody's life around them better.
Right.
So, and even if it's, I guess if you're thinking, well, I don't want to make a living out of this, it's worth the time to make your life and those around you that you care and love transform as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And two things I just wanted to share is, one of the things that we work with in the workshop is we do practice with others in the class. So you learn how to do it with others, but you also learn how to do it just for yourself. So I agree with you. You know, you don't have to have a plan of working with other people and having it as a business. Come for yourself. Resolve your own, traumas or stresses or challenges, resistance. And what's beautiful is every shift that you make within yourself, it echoes out to others.
It ripples in the pond.
It ripples on the pond. Absolutely. Yeah. So is there anything that you have experienced in your path of working with PSYCH-K that you found challenging? Because people are like, okay, so it's easy, but there's got to be a problem in here somewhere. So is there anything you've found challenging?
In my experience, I've been doing this for a few years now. And when some clients or partners come and they've experienced muscle testing before, and they are set that it works a certain way. And then you're trying to explain, okay, but we're doing muscle testing, but in this fashion for this method. So that's, I guess that was one of my challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Also in PSYCH-K, you need to transform the belief. Sometimes you need a statement to transform that belief. And when people are unfamiliar with using affirmation, or they're unfamiliar with creating positive statement, like I also work with suicidal people and depressed people. And so a positive statements for them seems to be like impossible to create. Right. So those are the only thing, is that helping them find their statement. So assisting them, because it has to come from them. PSYCH-K is not something that you give your power to the facilitator. It's something that the facilitator empowers in you. So in that sense, instead of letting someone do things for you, you're taking back control of your life and your transformation. And so people are not used to that. People are not, they're like, what do you mean I have to do this?
Wait, I thought you were fixing me. Yeah, I agree with you. That's another challenge is the mindset of someone coming in saying, well, okay, so you're going to fix me, right? And immediately I'm like, no, let's have a conversation around that, because it is kind of 100% about empowering the other person. Yes, we as facilitators know the process and the protocol and the steps, and we're guides to guide you through that. But you're right, the goal statement, as best it can, should come out of the mouth of the partner that we're working with.
So, and so those are, I would say, some of the challenges I've experienced, but it's not unsurmountable. It's not impossible. It's just, you need to work with the person and say, no, you can do this. Right. And giving them back the reins. And after one or two statements, they're like, I can do this. I
Yep,
can do this,
beautiful,
right? So
beautiful.
it's not something that takes weeks and 10 sessions to figure it out. Within
Right.
the one session, they're liking how they're feeling, to be back in their own power, back in control of their own life, and then they're right on board with it.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I want more.
Well,
Yeah.
and strangely, you know, some of the transformation are felt physically, some are felt emotionally during these processes, and the people are shocked. And I work with a lot of men, and they're like, "Wow, I'm surprised because I'm crying, and I'm not a crier." But I
Right,
said, "But you know, you've been holding on to this for so long, and it's finally just being released now. You're free of it." And so the people, even in the sessions, see the change.
right. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So we'll get to your website in just a minute. Is there anything else you just want to share in general about PSYCH-K or about your experience?
I the one thing that's really important is that follow-up call that we do is it's not like you said, we're not doing hard marketing, we're not trying to schedule a new appointment. We're really just following up on making sure that the action steps, right? The action steps are being taken. And in my experience, those who are delaying taking the action steps, are not quite doing it, the transformation is slower. So that call that we make as facilitators to encourage you to follow up on that is to make you realize that this transformation has taken place and you can do this. So the least bit of resistance that might be left there is evaporated the instant that you take those action steps. So those are very important. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a very spiritual way of working, even though there's all the science and the biology supporting it. The connection that you feel with yourself is enhanced, grows, and you become happier as a person. So you can do this for others, but I did it for me in the first place. That's where I started. And then when I saw how the transformation in me were occurring, I wanted to share this with the rest of the world.
Yeah, beautiful. We're so glad you are. So I know you do private sessions. Would you share your website just verbally, and then we'll also have it in the text?
SonyaRoy.com. SonyaRoy.com.
Beautiful. Easy. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sonya. So glad that you were able to do this with me, and we'll share it as soon as we can, and enjoy sharing this with whoever's interested in PSYCH-K or curious and open to it. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.